Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, and welcome to another NerdTube Star Trek episode review. We're here tonight talking about Strange New Worlds, Season 3, Episode 3, Shuttle to Kenfori. It wouldn't be one of our Trek reviews if I wasn't joined by my Trekkies in arms. We've got Cousin Cheeto. How are you tonight, sir?
Tired, but here. And I'm going to see Fantastic Four, so I'm going to be more tired.
But it's going to be worth it, probably.
Probably.
We've also got Lord Donkey. How are you, sir?
Oh, hanging in there. Glad to join you guys this week.
Excellent. We got Big Jefferson Kelly. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Doing good. How about you guys?
Proud to be here. And we're also joined by Junior Ensign Third Class Zamluigi Furio del Classico.
You nailed it. Absolutely nailed it.
How are you, mate?
I am fine, thank you. I'm having a much-deserved day off tomorrow because I need it, but that will still require me to mow the lawn and go shopping.
An adult's work is never done.
Yes.
Never done.
So, we had us a little bit of a zombie episode this week.
Space zombies.
Space zombies.
Yeah, I'll take
Or
some space
zombies in space.
All right. So, let's start with some overall impressions, and we'll go into our usual blow by blow. I'm going to start with Cheeto. What did you think of this week's episode?
I thought it was good. I liked more of the character beats in this episode. The zombie thing was very telegraphed because as soon as they said, "Oh, there's no life signs on this planet," I'm like, "Yeah, there's life on that planet. It's just not anything that they've ever been able to scan before." You know, I do like the little bit of meta that they went with it, where they're like, Pike's like, "No, it sounds like zombies," and Vega's like, "Don't call them that." Like, just a little banter back and forth between the two of them. I can't remember a ton of times where Mbega and Pike have had a lot of alone time, like character interactions. Maybe I'm wrong, but I know the one episode that Zam loves so much, like after the musical episode, where and which obviously ties into this episode. But I really liked a lot of the character beats in this episode.
Oh, what was that episode again? I have no idea.
It's the one where Mbega, assassinated a Klingon.
Oh,
ambassador.
you know what? I can't wait to talk about that. Anyway.
No, it was nice to see those two characters in particular have some room to kind of percolate and breathe together and enjoy the on-screen chemistry.
Because normally it's Mbega and Chapel is a lot of times, and I'm kind of glad they got away from that. So anyway, I'm done.
All right, Lord Donkey, overall impressions?
Starting off with the, we have to go find this flower. It's a MacGuffin of the week kind of thing. But I think it recovered from that at least and gave us some good space zombies. I mean, is this the first time we've seen Star Trek zombies?
I mean, the Borg.
No. Well, besides the Borg, I suppose.
That DS9 episode had zombies. No, not zombies, but
I still need to finish DS9.
It's the one with Garrick where he gets that blue shit on his hand, and on that, and also there was an episode of Enterprise that had zombies as well.
Yeah, I mean, you got like
I feel like there was some like close-ish
Vulcan zombies.
Vulcan zombies.
Yeah, but they've never crossed the line to the full zombie, and they even.
I would say the Vulcan. I would say that the Vulcan zombies were pretty much zombies. Like I would say that was pretty much.
Well, anyway, it felt like well done for Star Trek space zombies, and Pike shot first. We have to shoot first. That felt like a nice little
nice tie-in.
Yeah.
I do just want to point out that the zombies in this episode felt more like the zombies from Last of Us rather than zombies from like Resident Evil.
Yeah, it's really well done.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that part. I enjoyed the zombies, and yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one.
Excellent. Big J, your overall thoughts of this installment?
I always appreciate a decent Klingon episode, and I am glad that they've really spread those out. They haven't been overusing the Klingons during the run of Strange New Worlds, and so I like a good mashup of a Klingon episode with a zombie episode. So overall, I was liking this one, Can certainly go into more detail as we go through on the things that I did like.
Excellent. And Zem Luigi?
You can call me Zam. My friends call me Zam.
The full title, please.
But yeah, what I liked about this episode is that it spread more of this time period sort of lore and history and what's going on, all the way back to season 1 of Discovery with the war with the Klingons and all of that. It brought all of that back. I do feel very vindicated though. I do think the last time we spoke about when we spoke about the episode with that Klingon, I said that M'Benga killed him. Yeah, it wasn't self-defense. I said he killed him, and you guys were going on about the self-defense, and we found out that he did kill him, and so I felt very vindicated on that. And but yeah, it was. I mean, it's a zombie episode. It's clever in that particular sense, and once again, it's doing that sort of episodic at the same time narrative arc saying very well. It's doing, but it does still require you to, unfortunately, it still requires you to have watched the previous episodes to understand this episode to a degree, you know. But that's how they're doing it now, so fair enough.
Yeah, I feel like it straddled the line pretty well between episodic and serialization.
Yeah.
Got a couple of comments. We can probably knock those out before we get to the play-by-play. So Dana Vance says, "Evening, everybody." He also says, "This episode was utter cowboy diplomacy." Absolutely correct. It's good to see you. Welcome to the stream, Daniel Vance. Thanks for being here. So we start with the captain's personal log, where the Pike, he's recording his personal log when he enters his quarters and finds Marie Patel on the floor. The invasive Gorn tissue is back and has become aggressive. They're going to need chimeral blossom from the Kenfori system. There was a Federation research facility there that was lost to the Klingons after the war. Both sides gave it up, so it's become a restricted zone. They'll violate multiple treaties if they go there to get this
Of course
chimeral
they
blossom.
will.
Plot contrivance.
Always a treaty.
Always a
Always.
treaty.
So Spock and M'Benga, they volunteer to go on this clandestine mission, but Pike insists on going instead of Spock, so he can take the blame if they get caught. Now we get some exposition on the bridge. The restricted zone is, the edge of it is along a giant dust cloud. Uhura sets up an encrypted ship-to-ship comm, and then the Enterprise heads out, and the shuttle launches. On the shuttle, we get one of these scenes like Cheeto was talking about, where Pike and M'Benga get some time together.
Nice
they
bantering.
reminisce. Very nice bantering, indeed. They find a Klingon signal beacon that's warning to turn around, but Pike says that that's not an option. So then we get the intro. Does anybody have anything they'd like to discuss about the cold open?
Do we also get to see Una's hair in the cold open, or was it after the cold open?
I think it was after the cold open. I already am not exactly sure.
Well, I just have to say that I approve. Even though my approval means jack shit, I approve.
I wasn't a fan of the hair for number one.
It's like a little crown.
I've also not been a fan of the Vulcan looking eyebrows of her, like intentionally Vulcan looking. I don't know why they went that route with her character.
An enhancement, maybe that's part of the enhancement. You know, sharp Vulcan eyebrows.
I mean, they're just more sophisticated eyebrows. It's because of genetic manipulation. As your intellect grows, your eyebrows get.
Oh, really? Is that it?
I just thought Rebecca Romaine told the makeup department to make sure she looked on fleek.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she probably did, but yeah, I'm not a fan of the hair either. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why they decided to do that. I mean, again, like Zam said, it's not. I don't even know why we're talking about it so much, but like. It did kind of bother me a little bit because I'm just like, why are we going with this, like, you know, bun type scenario. I don't think
Look, you can't have your hair all over the fucking place, you know. Like that's what it
Right.
reminded me of, like of the women on Voyager who had their hair all pretty much like that, all like tied up and put away, so it's not in your fucking
Right.
face, or it
Is it never?
doesn't get stuck in the circuits when you're fucking having to do some last minute splicing. You know what I mean?
And I would just like to say that if something happened to Pike's hair, we would be talking about that as well. We really
Right.
would.
Something happens to
Probably
Pike's hair,
more.
I'm not watching the rest of the show.
Yeah, that ski slope needs to remain there. Are we talking about Rebecca Romaine's facelift? Was it that? Is that why
You
her hair
never
was
know when
off?
the
Or a
gravity is going to
facelift?
turn off. That's the point of the hair.
I don't know if she got a facelift. I wasn't paying attention to. It's just the hair was a bit of a
not aware of
a
that.
jarring situation for me.
Anyway, I apologize for making
Misogynistic comments aside.
No, I actually said it didn't matter, but I liked it. Personally, I thought it was a nice.
Did not.
A nice way of saying, okay, we're in season 3 now. This is what her hair looks like now in season 3.
I don't care if she changes her hair, but I don't think that was the way to go.
Nope.
Anyway,
Hairgate 2025.
oh, right.
No. What's the star date? It has to be the star date.
Good point, Donkey. Okay, so on the surface, there's no life signs that they can read, which excellent foreshadowing. We head to the abandoned facility where they find a Klingon corpse that's been badly damaged.
No, it's just a skeleton. I mean,
Just
like
a skeleton. Yeah.
I have to be honest with you. I initially thought, okay, there's no life signs. We're dealing with robots or something like that. It reminded me of that episode of TNG with the planet for sale or the robots for sale. You know, and then Pike ended up
Arsenal of Freedom. Yeah, season 1.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Rock ended up making the purchase and all that shit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought it would be a bit like that, but no, that wasn't the case, which is good. Expectations, went a different direction.
Yeah, it's always nice when it's not, when there's foreshadowing, but it's not totally readable.
Mm-hmm.
Inside the facility, they find the blossoms, and Mbenga dons a mask and gloves to gather it. Pike asks about Patel's condition. Dr. Mbenga is saying, I can't talk about that, patient confidentiality, but that the flower is her only chance. And that's when they find a foot.
Here's a foot.
I just love how, like,
Big
when he
old boot.
pulls it out, he holds it up like it's like he's literally holding it up for the camera. Like it's like ta-da-da-da-da-da.
Behold this foot.
Like I almost it's almost like the Ocarina of Time where, like, Link gets somebody da-da-da-da-da-da.
I was thinking like Harry Potter, it's a port key or something like that, and they're gonna fucking transport somewhere.
Yeah. Anyway,
remind me of the episode of Enterprise with the Vulcan zombies. Yeah, we mentioned that earlier. DV, yeah,
definitely some similarities there. On the Enterprise, a Klingon battle cruiser is discovered, but number 1 says to hold the position. Ortega subjects, but is quickly shut down. We've kind of here on the channel before kind of went back and forth about how we feel about her straddling the line of insubordination, and we see that come to like kind of a full circle with this week's episode.
I know Strange New Worlds has been watching NerdTube reviews because they've really been like going after Zam's thoughts, because Zam, you're the one who was really against her being insubordinate on the bridge, and I mean I agree with you on that, but
I know they actually never thought she was insubordinate before. I just thought the way that she was always she just spoke a bit too much. Like she was it almost sounded like she was questioning her orders to a degree, even though nobody ever found that in I can't say the word, but you know what I'm saying.
So you're saying she should be skinned, not hurt.
And I found that very irritating. Like, stop quipping all the time, you goddamn chipmunk. Fucking fly the goddamn shit. You know what I mean? And she wasn't like that in season 2. But I understand why she's like, and if anything, I found her more endearing in season 2. I actually appreciated her a lot more. I thought they fixed those problems. And in season 3, well, we've already got certain reasons why she could be behaving the way she is, and so I'm totally fine with that as well.
So you see it as part of the character arc then for the season.
Like, well,
Sam's more like, shut up and fly the ship.
Well, the arc is kind of like, sometimes with season 1 or whatever in certain shows, when you do a season 2, it's almost like rectifying all the problems you had with the first season, and then you're kind of really going on from there. So the arc really begins in season 2, as far as I'm concerned, and this is the continuation of the arc in season 3.
Okay. Anybody else have any thoughts on that particular scene on the bridge?
I mean, because they are friends in real life. There is something to be said about people that are friends in the workplace. You know what I mean? And how far a subordinate can take something when you outrank them. You know what I mean? Like, yes, they're friends in real, off duty, but at the same time, Ortega's needs to realize that she's not in charge, and she's not, and Ortega's really kind of crossed that line in this episode. And I kind of like that, because again, they're kind of showcasing that we may be friends out, off duty, but when we're on the bridge, you listen to me. It's my call.
Yeah, and I refuse to believe she's the only goddamn pilot on the ship. The way they're making it out, like there's nobody else who can fly that thing.
Well, here's their chance, because they pulled her from the roster, so now we're supposed to start. Watch, Sulu's coming. Here comes Sulu.
No, don't do it. I'm telling them now, don't do it. You've
got to come in the next 2 seasons. At least
we only one new person a season. That's
right.
You got Scotty last season, so
Uhura first season, Scotty last season. So who's Sulu's this season, right?
Pike Kirk. Jim was last season. No,
I don't count Kirk. He's not on the ship yet, technically.
That's right. She kind of got quickly shut down during the conference meeting too. Coming up with the plan that was the Stargazer maneuver, and being questioned, and Spock's plan makes more sense. Like, does it though? You're made a quick decision there, I felt like, but okay.
A little bit. Kind of see that point. So on the surface, Pike hears something. They still can't get any life readings though. A shuttle arrives and blasts Pike and M'Benga's shuttle out of just off the face of the planet.
That was cool.
3 Klingons arrive and begin searching for them, saying that they can smell the stench of human in the air. The Cap and Doc flee.
You must have been so happy seeing those Klingons, Mage. Yeah, my people.
That's right, my people. Though I'm not shoehorned, I've also played a Romulan now too.
Oh, lovely.
Yep, that'll be coming out later in the year. So they flee, but the Klingons catch up and open fire. So we get some pew-pews for Cheeto. So I'm sure the Klingons flank them and almost capture them, however. But that's when the zombies show up for real, and everybody has to run. On the Enterprise in sickbay, Patel is in a tremendous amount of pain, so Spock melds with her to try to ease the pain and teach her some of the Vulcan meditation techniques that they use to suppress pain. But they have a vision of the Gorn. He begins screaming, knocks the new nurse down, and Chapel has to slap him to knock him out of it.
I felt like the Gorn almost took over. Like, it wasn't even a vision; it was more like a not an control. What's the term when somebody takes over your body? Like
an out of body experience.
No,
you're talking about possession.
Possession.
That's it. Yeah. It felt like that. Like Spock was possessed by the possible fetus of a Gorn or the previous Gorn. Shows you how powerful the fucking Gorn are. They really are. Was it 5872? What the fuck it's called? It's
472.
It's getting, those vibes are just so intertwined with the Gorn this season. It's crazy.
I'm okay, because the Gorn are something we haven't really explored ever in Star Trek very much, and I know that Jefferson is not a huge fan of us exploring the Gorn, like this version of the Gorn. It's kind of like Discovery, like looking a little bit more into the Breen. Like I like exploring these races that we don't look into very often.
I like exploring them. Yes, like I really like what Discovery did with the Breen. It's just that the way they're exploring the Gorn in this, I just think is not the right way to go into exploring them. They just
I didn't say you didn't like exploring them in general. I'm just saying, you're not a fan of this version of the Gorn.
Right.
Yeah. I got you, brother.
I almost feel like they have to wipe out the Gorn at some point in this, not this season, but this series.
Don't the Gorn join the Klingons? Is that beta canon or alpha canon?
That's Star Trek Online.
Is it Star Trek Online? I remember that from somewhere. I wasn't sure if that was beta or alpha canon.
Yeah, because the way they are as a species, the fact that they haven't been seen in the future, so that they have to be eradicated this series.
I don't know. Again, I'm not a bit. I mean, I don't think they need to be eradicated because they've been around for a long time. I mean, the dormant thing makes sense. It's just like them going into a dormancy makes sense, but at the same time, it's like it was a little too easy. You know what I mean?
We're talking one of the most dangerous alien species in the universe. You know, like they're just as dangerous as the Borg. You know, if in some ways worse. You know, I mean, they eat you, and they infest you and shit like that. I mean, they're terrible, and the fact that they haven't come up in other than obviously in the original series, we haven't seen them anywhere else. Yeah, if I'll be shocked if they don't get eradicated this season. Well, not eradicated, they can't be because obviously Jim Kirk fights one. But you know what I'm saying? Like there's something about them that means that they have to somehow be neutralized or something.
Perhaps. I could see that being one realm of within the realm of possibility for sure. So on the Enterprise in sickbay, yep, the nurse got knocked down. So Spock says it bore her pain, but they tells her that they both had this experience. And in the ready room, the captain hasn't checked in, so Una asks for suggestions. Spock is going to suggest the slow approach, and this is when Una issues orders to make it so, and this is when Ortegas is going to speak up, but kind of get shut down rather quickly. She recommends warping them into the thermosphere, actually, and beaming the captain and the doctor out. Scotty says that this would be damn near impossible to pull off, but that he could do it if get around the residual warp field with the transporters.
Oh, that old chestnut.
Well, I've got an issue with this because when you're warping inside of a system, like this is going like J.J. Abrams level of not making sense when it comes to space. Because like you saw how close they were to the planet. And then like literally in the scene where they're warping, like they were at warp for at least a couple seconds. Like in DS9 in the episode where they were warping from, what was it, Bajor to the sun, they literally could be at warp for like a nanosecond. Like, you know.
So the thing is, I think you've warp 1 from Earth to our sun is about 7 minutes because it takes light 7 minutes to reach Earth. So speed of light about 7 minutes. But I think that the thing you also have to think about is even though you could go faster, you may be in a situation where that's not a good idea because you'd have to stop quicker. It's kind of like Descent Part 2. Was it season 6 or season 7 premiere of TNG when Crusher was in command? They had to have the Enterprise like in warp to the planet they had to beam their people off of. It had to stop like on a dime. I just remember that scene. They stop on a dime, lurch forward in the ship. So you can go faster, but you have to have that reaction time of how quickly do you need to be able to stop. And I think if you're at warp 1 or if you're at warp 5, stopping at warp 1 and stopping at warp 5 are two very different things. It's kind of like if you're driving 25 miles an hour and you've got to stop as opposed to 55 miles an hour.
Mhm.
Yes, I can get there faster. I can get to wherever I want to go faster if I drive faster. It's the stopping that becomes an issue.
Okay.
So yeah.
We also don't kind of know the scale of that system, how big the system is. But I kind of see where you're coming from, Cheeto. Like, that's the warping itself is a little long. You'd think they would need to go for a smaller amount of time just to close the distance between where they were at and that planet's thermosphere.
I'm just saying, like, based on like where you saw them, because you saw them traveling through the the debris belt. They were literally probably right, I would say, no further than our moon from the planet. So how long does it take? I mean, even at warp 1, how long would it take from us?
I've seen this lots of times. I know what you're about to ask. Yeah.
Yeah, like how long would it take if we're at warp 1? How long would it take us to get from Earth to the moon? Like a couple seconds, maybe, or
Inquiring
Light takes
minds
approximately 1.2 to 1.3 seconds
Yeah.
from Earth to the moon. So
So
you've
definitely-
barely gotten into the warp bubble by the time you're there.
yeah. So that's what I mean. It's like it's just one of those things that's stuck in my craw in this episode where I was like, oh, so we're doing J.J. Abrams now, where you can make a black hole in a planet, and then you can be standing on another ice planet within visual range and see it clear as day, and you don't get sucked into the black hole. Great. Okay. At least I know where we're coming from in this episode and our nonsensical physics. Got it. It's really one of the first times that New Trek has really done this to me. I really
Tell us
think-
more how you love the reboot movies.
Listen,
We don't have that kind of time. He's
Transwarp
gotta be-
beaming
He has to
is
leave.
transwarp beaming. Don't even get me started. All right.
That's a different rant for a different day.
Yep.
Hmm.
After the meeting, Sung and Una kind of discuss Ortegas' behavior, with Una ultimately giving her a pass.
Sing, right? Sing, not soon, right? Or is it wait?
Well, on Mooney and Sing.
Sing, yeah, it's sing.
Saying,
I know.
sorry,
I do
guys.
the same thing, man. No, it's fine. I do the same thing.
Pike and Mbanga make a plan to head to the roof and use the comms array to signal to the Enterprise and get rescued. They pull up the logs and find out that the zombies were caused by a moss genome that got released when the Klingons invaded the facility. Then the Pike asks why Patel needs hybridization, and he gets very upset during this scene. He starts yelling at the doctor. He realizes that this treatment might make her a human-Gorn hybrid. Joseph says that she chose it and that she only has days to live without this.
This is
That's-
fucked. I wonder if this is going to happen, by the way. Are we going to see a fucking, growing claws and shit like that? And I don't know. It's weird.
Mm.
I hope they don't go there. Yeah, I hope they don't go there.
I mean,
Oh,
It's so
opinion
repugnant.
is no longer
Cheeto, he
valid. Goodbye,
disconnected.
Cheeto.
Your opinion is so bad that you're gone.
Oh, sorry, Chio.
It's because all of the bad things you said about
Yeah, we didn't need you here.
JJ movies.
The Gorn got him.
yeah, the Gorn got me. No, all I was gonna say. I don't even remember what I was gonna say now.
You're
What are we
upset
talking
with
about?
the fucking warp and all this shit.
No, what do we start talking about?
Zephyr and Cochrane going warp 1, in first
I don't know.
contact.
Anyway, never mind.
So they get discovered / rescued by the Klingon survivors, one of whom is promptly bitten and taken out by the commander. Then they
I
together
love the way
head toward-
they hid in the bloody cupboard. I mean, like a tiny ass little cupboard, like
yeah,
but genius.
Gotta hide somewhere.
wherever you can fit. So they head to the roof, and the zombies swarm the roof. They get inside an array of emitters and activate a force field. The Klingon then proceeds to stab Captain Pike's leg.
I just want to add that usually in these sort of scenarios, it's not scenarios. Yeah, scenarios is the right word. Where sometimes you might get two people who are on opposing sides, like in this case, the humans and the Klingons. But regardless, they have a greater enemy that they have to defeat, so they end up teaming up. But that really wasn't necessarily the case this time. It went once again. It wasn't the way I expected it to be. I thought, yeah, there's no doubt one of these Klingons is going to give the Starfleet officer a gun, and they're going to be back to back and shoot their way out and stuff like that, like a Resident Evil game. But no, it wasn't that remotely. There was other reasons, which I'm sure you'll get to.
Yep, just about to get there. So she's been tracking Mbenga. She's Ambassador Ra's daughter. Ambassador Ra being the Klingon that he killed in the episode last season.
Yeah, the Uncle Phil lookalike.
That's right. On the Enterprise, they're entering the buffer zone and powering down the non-essential systems when Una orders them to 1/8 impulse. Ortega speeds them up slightly and they get spotted. On the roof, Bytha, the name of the Klingon commander, and she exposits that she had hated her father. She was mad that she couldn't kill him herself and end their blood feud. She must kill Ra's assassin to restore her honor and that of her family.
It's always about honor with these Klingons. Jeez. If there's anything more consistent in the universe than physics, it's Klingons and their stupid honor.
Well, it's funny because they could also be the most dishonorable people as well at the same time. But I like that to a degree, but it kind of shows you that they're all different. Some people are honorable. Some of them only pretend to be honorable. They're full of shit, just like us humans.
Right?
I feel attacked.
Maybe you should, but okay. On the Enterprise, we get even more insubordination. Cut back to the roof where Joseph admits killing Ra while Bytha holds a knife to Pike's neck. The doc tells
Banger's a bit of a badass, by the way. Like
he is.
This guy, he's got some skeletons in his fucking closet. He's more than just a doctor and shit like that. But this was a stupid move by him. He should have just lied. For fuck's sake, your captain has got a knife to his throat, and you're going to be honest.
But
a vengeful Klingon who wants your ass. Please.
If he said it was in self-defense, would she have believed him and just killed Pike anyway?
Probably.
Well, by saying that, I mean, he got lucky, but by saying that
he
did assassinate. It could have been an eye for an eye moment or something like that with Pike. I mean, he was dead to rights. So,
yeah, definitely. So Doc tells Pike to get the flower off the planet into the Enterprise. Bytha challenges him to ritual combat. They have the combat, and during the course of it, the emitter is damaged, and the shield starts to come down.
You mentioned the emitter, like that emitter was one of the most convenient fucking plot devices.
What was it even for? Like what? So that's
why would you have a force field up there?
Yeah, why would you have a force field emitter on the? Like, I could see if they were like, oh, this is where the scientists made their last stand, and they put these emitters up already. They just had to act like they just had to finish like constructing it or like finish putting it together, and then that's when the zombies come or whatever. But like, yeah, it was very convenient that it was up there on the roof, and I'm like, why? Like, they didn't even give an explanation as to why there's an emitter on the roof.
Let me just say that the fight with Mbenga, I really, really like this, and here's why. Throughout Star Trek, I've always felt that a Starfleet officer, messing with a Starfleet officer should be in some degrees about as kin as picking a fight with a Marine. There's just been so many times in Star Trek where it just seems like not a single Starfleet officer is trained in any decent hand-to-hand combat unless you're Worf or Data. There's always some exception, or if you get lucky. But what this shows is, as much as Starfleet is exploration focused, it's still military based, And you would think that it should not, and I'm not saying that every Starfleet officer should all be equal in regards to their hand-to-hand training. What I'm saying is that Star Trek has often depicted Starfleet officers as really not having much hand-to-hand combat training unless the plot calls for it. But with Mbenga in this fight, it shows, I think, properly that you should not mess with or take it for granted that you could beat a Starfleet officer in hand-to-hand combat. Like, if you're a captain of a starship, you would think that this guy could kick my ass. It really should show that there should be a higher degree of military combat training, and this really showed that, which I think they should really do more of. So I was really appreciative of this fight and him kicking ass.
Yeah, I agree with 100%. I think there's certain traits that every Starfleet officer needs to know equally. You know, obviously knows how to use a weapon, some hand-to-hand combat. Probably should know how to fly a shuttlecraft. Everyone should be a pilot in some capacity. Know some simple first aid, and know some basic engineering skills as well. You know, all of these things need to be compulsory, in my opinion. I want to quickly just get to some of the comments. I feel Daniel Vance has kind of been left out. These last few comments.
A little bit.
You want to get to them, Mage, or?
Absolutely. I'll scroll down. So starting with, he pointed out Wakanda Falls in the last episode and the heart-shaped flower this episode, pointing out more kind of points where things in the episodes look like things in the MCU or Disney properties. He said they could introduce Emily Dax. It's right around this time that she meets Bones at the Academy. Speaking of the meld with...
Interesting.
Bones would have already been in Starfleet for a while by now, right?
He was one of the older Starfleet officers.
He's older at this point. I don't mind Dax showing, like Emily Dax showing up on the Enterprise as Emily Dax. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind that. And meeting Bones on the Enterprise. There's another one we can get this season. You know, Jefferson wants to see all of them. I know. So.
No, don't overdo it. They're skirting the line of overdoing it when they don't need to, because Strange New Worlds, once we get to season 5, we are still at that point, I think 3 or 4 years away from Kirk being in command of the Enterprise.
Unless they do a Rogue One in the last season, they skip some year, like they do an episode per year.
Cheeto. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get in my truck. I'm going to drive up to see you. I just want to talk. I just want to talk.
Wait, tell me when you get there, because I'll join you.
Okay, we're just going to come talk.
But there are a lot of elements already this series that the timelines have changed. We already mentioned, you know, with the time travel episode, and then seeing Khan in all of that shit. And
you're right, because we are in a different timeline, so it doesn't mean that. Okay, yeah, you're right.
All right. More comments from Daniel Vance. He's speaking of this mind meld with Marie. He says Spock's meld connected him not only with the Gorn hegemony, but with Pike in ways he is yet to understand. That meld is part of the reason Spock will go to the ends of the universe for Pike. Then he explains for us, the Klingon-Gorn War was a conflict fought between 2386 and 2403. The Klingons conquered the Gorn, but the Gorn were given self-rule as long as they stayed loyal to the Klingons. The Klingon tracking Mbenga brought up so many questions for me about Viridian patches. He thinks this episode...
Olives, you gotta watch them.
Right? I think this episode will come back around for Mbenga. I think this episode is the reason he's no longer the head of Starfleet Medical and why Bones moves to the forefront. People put gates around high voltage tower sites all the time. And then... we're not too far removed from the Mako. We're still in the exploration of Star Trek, not the war era.
Okay.
And now
Colin Barrett says, Welcome to the stream. Secret Hideout recently said Strange New Worlds will end with Kirk in command of the Enterprise at the end of season 5.
That's what I heard that too, and that's why I'm saying maybe season 5 is going to be like every episode is going to be like, a year or within a year or something like that.
So I expect in season 5 at some point we'll see obviously Pike make that sacrifice play that it makes him end up in the wheelchair. That will have to happen, and we'll pretty much get most of our characters, I think, as well by season 5.
Well, but the sacrifice didn't happen when Kirk took over the Enterprise. That happened after.
I know.
Okay.
I know, but yeah, it's weird in a way. But then they'll have to do a time jump like they did at the end of Discovery, And then we'll start seeing our replacements as well. And I do expect some of the main characters to be killed off at some point,
or leave.
But like I said, they had a really good opportunity with Ortega being killed off, and they decided not to. I mean, for fuck's sake, that I still, as far as I'm concerned, that should be death for her. What she suffered, that was death, and she still lived.
There were no consequences in that first episode. Well, except for now, this is the consequence episode.
So here's what's going to happen: season 5, episode 5. So what's going to happen is we're going to see a bunch of like stuff that happens to the Enterprise in between, year 5 and year 8 or 9 or whatever of, when Pike gets done. And then at the very end of the episode, Riker's going to turn to the holodeck arch and say, "End program."
No.
Oh, good.
I'm waiting for you, Jeff. Come on.
Throw
the poll up, Cheeto. We're going to end this.
I've got my remote start. I'm going to warm up the truck or cool it off. It's hot outside. Yeah, we're coming up there. I'm going to stop by and pick up Lord Donkey. We're just going to come talk.
Well, I can meet you there. I'm 20 minutes away.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
We just want to talk, man.
I'll be there. Just send
come on
me
outside.
Your ETA.
Okay, so
wait to see you guys.
We were at the fight, and Dr. M'Benga wins the fight after the force field drops, and but he forfeits. He doesn't kill Baitha. The Enterprise
so pissed off.
Yeah, she's so pissed off by it.
I'm so mad I'm still alive.
Right? Only a Klingon would be mad they're still alive.
Yeah.
The Enterprise warps into the thermosphere, and Scotty begins preparing for the transport. On the roof, the field comes back up and then goes back down as Baitha prepares to make an honorable sacrifice so she could get into Stovacor.
With a sword whip.
With a sword whip. That's right.
Sword.
It was pretty cool.
That was cool.
That was pretty cool. On
You
the
remember
Enterprise,
when Benega and that Klingon lady had their fight? It just kind of reminded me of wrestling, like it was like a Texas bull rope match or something like that, because they were holding on
together
to that piece of whatever. Yeah, anyway, but I don't want to go on about that too much. I just wanted to mention that.
I mean, they did that with the Andorians in the episode of Enterprise.
Yeah, and by the way, very convenient that Klingon had 2 daggers on there as well.
I mean, Klingons, they put
she
daggers
probably
out
had
of
more
everywhere.
knives than that.
She probably had more.
Yeah.
Probably. So on the Enterprise, they're losing their artificial gravity, but Scotty still manages to beam up the captain and the doctor. The Klingons come to attack with their battle cruiser, but the Enterprise warps away. We see Spock turning the Blossom into the treatment for Captain Patel. M'Benga and Pike talk about Joseph's confession on the roof, but since there was no official mission, Pike doesn't have to file an official report. And even if he were, hypothetically, he would just say his friend told a story to save his life. You're not a monster, just a man and my friend. And I thought that was a pretty powerful line. Una removes Ortegas from the duty roster for 2 weeks, like we mentioned earlier, in a meeting in the ready room. And then our final scene happens in Pike's quarters, where he kind of grills Patel about her not discussing her medical decision with him. They end up talking. She cries, he tears up, and they hold each other, and we roll credits. So yeah, that was this week's episode. All in all, pretty good, but not without its flaws.
it's going to be interesting to see what happens to Patel in the future episodes. Will we start seeing her, mutating or whatever into this Gorn human hybrid?
I've got a new theory. The Gorn that Kirk faced is Patel. It's just that what happened after all the genetic splicing and everything.
That's why it's so slow.
That's why it's so slow. That's my theory of the week.
Stop it.
So are we in the same timeline or different timeline now? Because now we're like, what the hell?
Oh, TOS, yeah. No, the Strange New Worlds, in my opinion, is a different timeline.
We're in a different timeline.
I mean, if you want to make it canon, fine, but like you're just setting yourself up for failure at that point.
Well, we're in a different timeline, so right. Technically, the showdown between Kirk and the Gorn could be excused. That doesn't mean I'm happy with it, with the slinky out that they're able to give themselves. But it is what it is.
The Enterprise itself looks nothing like it does in TOS.
Oh, that is the oldest, tiredest. It's because you know why. You're just trying to get us fired up.
Yeah, I thought that. That's
well, because they had a nothing budget back in the 60s. Things are just modernized and updated.
But at least Enterprise tried to keep it the same. They kept it the same when they came across in the Mirror Universe episode when they came across
the USS Defiant.
Was it the Defiant? But it looked like a TOS ship, So
that's because
my
Enterprise is a better Star Trek than any Star Trek ever before it. So,
like I said, I have no problem with this being an alternative timeline. So fair enough. It's all good for me.
It's just because you remembering
it's not a young ship. Even Strange New Worlds was launched in 2245, and Strange New Worlds is currently in 2261.
Yeah, the Enterprise, when it got destroyed in Star Trek 3: The Search for Spock, the Enterprise was 30 years old. Was it 30 or 25 or something? It was an old ship.
40,
and the interior was totally different in those films as well. The interior was different in the movies as well compared to the series.
Well, but they revamp the interiors of the ship every couple years.
A makeover.
Yeah. It's not because of movie budgets or anything.
Taco Bell.
That was because that was in the 80s and 90s. Now we're in the 2000s.
Yeah. And by the way, the pilot episode, the ship looks nothing like it did in the original series as well. So the ending of Strange New Worlds is 2265 kind of fits. And Enterprise would be undergoing its midlife refit at 20 years old. So fair enough.
Yeah, because these ships were designed and intended for use for many, many decades. They built them to be workhorses to go for a long time. And the Constitution class, when it's all said and done, went for
over 100 years.
About the 2290s was when they were pretty much sunset. So 50 years.
Yeah, but there were still Constitution classes in the Battle of 359. So I mean, yeah, you're right. They weren't like constructing. Well, that's what I'm saying. They weren't constructing new ones, but like look at the U.S. military though. Like look how long we've had some of these carriers. You know what I mean? Like decades and decades. So this is not abnormal military practice. And I know Starfleet's not a military, but they definitely have some military like nuances. Like making things that last for decades on end.
Yeah, it's a very large investment of resources to produce something as large as a ship or a starship, and
and just because there's no money does not mean things don't cost resources.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
and they don't have like industrial sized replicators, as far as I know. At least in this time, I mean, I know in the Prime timeline they don't have industrial replicators that I know of, but like, as I said, it costs a lot of resources to build a Connie class. That's why the Excelsior was such a big to-do, was because it took them years to make that ship.
Yeah.
Colin Barrett says...
He's justifying it, Colin Barrett is, I guess.
Yeah. So it would make sense that the ship will look different when Kirk does the first 5-year mission. It's hard to justify going from the Strange New Worlds look to the TOS look, though.
But
I
again,
still
we
feel like we're
can't.
looking at it under a new lens
I still
because
think we should.
it's
Why the
60
fuck are these
years
Klingons
ago.
got ridges on their heads? That's what I'm wondering too. You know, like this shouldn't be happening, but
Why not?
Oh,
because we're a few years later. I know it's a different timeline, so maybe I shouldn't be.
No.
I'm catching myself out here.
We're in the time. No. We're in the timeline where that still happened. The augment virus happened. It wasn't completely inclusive. Like it was not 100% population went ridgeless. It was a majority, yes, but not everybody.
Oh, we seem to be getting all the minority right now. There was that episode where fucking Spock was drinking blood wine and going yah like a pirate with all the goddamn Klingons all had ridges, and he looked more like the traditional Klingons, not that bloody abomination they had on.
I do kind of wish they did pepper in some of those ridgeless Klingons just to
Yeah,
kind
they
of
need
give
to.
it some continuity. Like, I mean, like it doesn't
They
have to
really
be a
have
big,
every right to. They should.
yeah.
They can pepper in ridgeless Klingons. They can pepper in some Discovery Klingons.
But then again,
they can do all
like I
of
said, yeah, but then again, they don't need to. I just keep reminding myself that this is a different timeline. So
it's a different timeline, yes, but that doesn't mean that this timeline is the events of Enterprise, at least after First Contact. Now, after the movie after the events of the Enterprise episode that dealt with the events of First Contact, that right there, you are in the First Contact timeline. I can't quote on what timeline Enterprise was depicted in before the events of that. I would say all of Enterprise from the first episode onwards was First Contact timeline. So let's say that Enterprise First Contact timeline, and then Discovery, Strange New Worlds, Section 31, Starfleet Academy. Now, just because we're in this timeline, this different timeline, doesn't mean that the thing with the Klingons didn't happen, because it did. It happened in the Prime timeline and the First Contact timeline.
I
so
agree.
The thing is that there are, and you might not have been with us when I used this analogy, but have you seen The Flash? You've seen the movie
Yeah, of
The
course.
Flash? Okay, well, you remember Bruce Wayne's, Michael Keaton's explanation version of time travel and how he did this thing with the spaghetti. Like, you inevitably will always have things that happen, things that line up that will always happen. But then you also have strands that move around. So even though we're in a different timeline, the thing with the Klingons is like an inevitable thing that happens in every timeline or whatever. So it doesn't always mean that every event is different or is changed. Some things will like always be the same.
No, yeah. I mean, I do feel that some of this alternatives, though, and this alternative timeline has happened because of Discovery, basically really throwing a spanner in the works, and now we're going this totally different direction now, with Strange New Worlds and so on. I also feel at the same time regarding First Contact that there is some sort of paradox similar to Terminator, where the future makes the past into the future that it has to be. Like, if the future doesn't interfere in the past, the future never exists in the first place. And I feel that's almost the same with Starfleet. Like, Starfleet almost had to go back in time to see Zephyr Cochrane in order to inspire him to complete his work, or Starfleet doesn't exist. So it's a paradox.
Yeah, Colin, I would say that every Enterprise, just from the start, from the get.
I think from the movie First Contact, like once they went back in time and the Borg attacked the Cochrane's site, like where his what was it in
Missile Silo and
Missile
Montana.
Silo in Indiana. Like I think ever since that moment happened, I think it was a different time. I think that's where the branch happened.
Yes.
And
Now,
in regards
Picard
to
and the crew went back to the right timeline, yes, but
Okay.
that branch kept on going. So
Mhm.
when
No,
the Enterprise E went back, they ended up back in their timeline, the prime timeline, yes. But as soon as the Borg, came through their temporal wake, from that moment forward, we were in the first contact timeline. That was
yeah, no, the
split.
Enterprise E did return to the prime timeline, but yeah, that started that branch there. So that's always been my theory. The Xindi attack on Earth in season 3 they were talking about. I still think that's a part of the first contact timeline. It's just
That's part of the first contact timeline.
yeah. I mean, it just depends on how you look at the temporal Cold War, like whether the temporal Cold War. Yeah, that's a bit hazy, and that's something I'd have to sit down and like map through because there's a lot of time travel shenanigans regarding that. So, but that's a whole nother discussion for a whole nother day. May, take us home.
All right, so we need some marks and final thoughts.
You got 5 marks right here. Oh, so,
All right, Lord Donkey, give it a rating, 1 to 10.
8.
An 8. All right, that's fair. Zam,
I had fun with this episode. It gets an 8.
excellent. Cheeto,
I'll give it an 8. This is probably the best episode of the season so far for me. A very generous 8 though.
okay. Big J,
I give it a good healthy 8. Yeah, not a low 8. It's upper 8s. Upper 8, yeah.
that's where I landed too after talking with you guys about it. 8's across the board. I wanted to give it a 9, but there's just a few little hang-ups here or there. I can't, in good conscience, give it a 9.
And the poll also says between 8 and 9 is what they're the 100% of the votes.
Thank you, Dead Man. We do our best. We stay up every night. We rewatch the episodes at least 3 times a day.
Just want to make one quick comment to Colin. So the presence of a Strange New Worlds looking Constitution in Picard doesn't mean that Picard isn't in the prime timeline. That's not an indication of alternate timeline. That takes us back to visual differences because of budget. And I always try to steer away from explaining visual differences because it's just budget. Let's just call it budget.
It's very convoluted.
It's headcanon. Like at the end of the day, all of this is our headcanon. Like
right.
Like it's all a matter of opinion. Yeah. We get to pick and choose with headcanon what's here, what's there. Like if you disagree with us, fantastic. Let us know what your theory is, and we will respectfully, we can just respectfully discuss. Like not right now, but like in general.
Mm-hmm. I just want to quickly add that the Vulcan episode is up in the air regarding zombies, but this episode has finally established that zombies exist in the Star Trek universe.
It did. So I want to thank everybody in the audience, for myself, for my co-host Lord Donkey, Zam, Cheeto, our special guest Jefferson, Big J Kelly. Where can they find you at, Jeff?
You can find me at Beyond Trek Podcast. I've got a website, Beyond Trek Podcast, website, YouTube, you name it. But here's the trick. If you Google Beyond Trek Podcast, all 3 words, Beyond Trek Podcast. If you just Google Beyond Trek, you get something totally different. Beyond Trek Podcast. There you go.
All right.
Thank you.
And the link to his channel will be in the description here in just a minute once we end.
Appreciate it.
Cool.
I forgot to put it in there earlier.
Cheers, Daniel Vance. Always a pleasure.
Thanks to everybody who's joined us tonight. Make sure if you haven't already, you subscribe to NerdTube because you've been watching the best social media channel